What is trauma? Trauma is an overwhelming demand placed on the physiological human system, says Dr. Robert Macy. We know that trauma is defined by changes in the nervous system in the brain and body, and that can permanently change how the body functions. It's when the embody encodes something that happens as trauma biologically. A big myth about trauma is that it's just one big bad thing that happens to you, such as rape or war. And while those are traumatic, that doesn't account for the range of what trauma can be. So SAMHSA says that individual trauma results from an event, a series of events, or a set of circumstances that is experienced by an individual as physically or emotionally harmful or life-threatening, and that has lasting adverse effects on the individual's functioning in mental, physical, social, emotional, or spiritual well-being. So the three concepts of trauma that SAMHSA gives in their definition is the idea of an event that can be a one-time or a repeated occurrence of something over time and years, which makes it a more complex trauma of someone experiencing difficulty and harm. Also, it's not just what the person experienced, but how the person experienced the event and how they recognize that different people can experience the same event and maybe not even encounter and encode trauma in their system. And then it's the effect of how someone experiences an event over time that can be immediately seen or even delayed long term, and seen effects that are coming out in emotions, body, attachment issues, and relationship, and often are not even connected and seen and recognized to the original trauma, even though they are connected. So the sources of trauma are mostly ACEs, which are adverse childhood experiences, and these are potentially traumatic events that occur in childhood, 0 to 17 years old, and this can include abuse, neglect, and any household dysfunction that undermines a child's sense of safety, stability, and bonding. And so examples of this are witnessing or experiencing violence in the home or community, having a family member attempt or die by suicide, and having a family member who does have diagnosed mental health problems, growing up in homes with substance use and abuse, and having instability due to parental separation, divorce, or household members being incarcerated. There's also historical trauma, which is the idea of culture and society and what we experience as a whole, and this could be family, generational, racial, and cultural trauma. There's also traumatic events and vicarious trauma, even trauma that we witness and experience or hear about from other people, and that we take on ourselves. The 4 R's SAMHSA has about trauma are realize. So we need to realize what trauma is and how it impacts people in their life and relationships. We need to be able to recognize it in people and how it affects them, how we see the effects coming to the surface in their emotions, relationships, body, and reactions, so that we can be able to respond in compassion and be trauma informed and aware as we're working with people in our ministries, so that we resist re-traumatization and are helping people heal and have breakthrough. So our goal is to be trauma informed in our ministries. And that happens by living in a salutogenic view, which is a view and a lens of compassion, a question to people of what happened to you. When we see effects and behavior or emotions coming to the surface, that being the compassion and response, versus a pathogenic mindset, which is what's wrong with you, that people are a problem and they need to be fixed, that there's bad behavior, bad people, and questions such as, why do you behave like that? What's wrong with you? So trauma is all around us. It's in our world. It's in people's lives. Statistically, so many adults have experienced childhood trauma, and we need to be aware of what it is and how it affects people so that we can be part of being people who recognize and are compassionate and can respond to people in those places to receive breakthrough and healing instead of re-traumatization.